Now it is. Alright, so the other reason that I 226 on the table. The other reason I had the piano music on, is because we don't need to talk to check our answers. So quietly, 222. Did we already check 222? Because it looks familiar to me. You guys are gonna have to tell me.
222. I don't think we did.
Okay. Well, so quietly, let's check over 222. If you have questions, I would love to go over them. I'm going to scroll because we shouldn't need too long to check each question. Anytime it says answers will vary, realize like this is their way of saying there's a lot of right ways to get to Florida. Right? Like there are multiple ways to solve math. Guys, we gotta all be on it. The whole like wait, go back thing is tough because we're all trying to check our work. Can I scroll? A was easier on this one than B. B was a bit difficult to get to negative 3.82. You can use a calculator, of course, unless it tells us we can't. This is why I think we checked 222. We talked about that 54C is repeating. Anything divided by 7 that is not a multiple of 7. Right? So if it's 7, 14, 21, 28, any of those, that'll terminate. But anything else is repeating. That's hard to see in your calculator, though, because there are so many digits that repeat. All you really see in your calculator is that the 571 starts up again, but it's hard to recognize that that repeats. This is still 2222. 222. All right, 223. Any questions on 222? 55. What about 55? Oh, this was probably because my worksheet had an issue and it should have been 1/5 and it said 15 because that was a formatting problem. So if, let me pause you're supposed to pause. Pause. All right. So Evan plans to put half of the money in his savings account, spend 1/5 of the money on bubblegum to share with his friends, and buy comic books with what is left. So if we kind of like pie graph this or something, half goes in the bank. Right, 1/5 of the whole money. Right, well, if I make a half into fifths, well, that's kind of lame. What would be a good common denominator between a half and fifths? 10, right? So we could say 5/10 is going in the bank account, or savings account. 2/10 is going for bubblegum, and how many tenths are left over? 3. Right, there are 3. So think about it like, one big circle. We got a half over here. There are 5/10. The 5th up here is really 2/10, and then 3/10 left over. Does that help, Molly? Yeah, and my bad with the typos. Yeah, I really need one of you to like be my proofreader before I send things to Copy Center. But yeah, if you're actually interested in that job, come see me. And so like, what it would probably be is as I get batches of worksheets done, I would just share them with you, or I'll share the folder with you. Callie, are you a good proofreader? Savannah, are you a good proofreader? I can have multiple proofreaders. All right, 223, not hide toolbars, answers. 223, here's our first question there. In 63, it's another one of those additive, it's what equals 0. Right, because everything ends up canceling out. Yeah, so the moves end up being like the opposite of each other. 64 gets into some complement situations of the not something happening. A complement is the everything else. So probability of not red is the probability of everything else or anything else happening. Yeah, anything else happening. And then purple, well, there's no purple. I had some people come and ask me that. Not a trick question, just it is math, right? What's the probability of something that doesn't exist in that situation? 0. Like, what's the probability I open my desk drawer and pull out a pizza? There's no pizza in there. I wish. Any questions? Any questions on 223? Maybe, since 8th grade's at camp. No, I'm joking. I cannot afford to buy pizza for the whole day. We already had pizza. We had a pizza party to start the year. Now, I will say, there was a point in the past where I did ice cream sandwiches for the grade because I think 8th grade was gone somewhere, and it might have been camp Turner, and that might have.
Wait, next year we get 8th grade camp as well?
Yeah, you got
ice
camp
cream
Turner.
sandwiches seem unfair because ice cream sandwiches, no, because they're chocolate and.
You gotta get air.
What can you eat that is like? Can you eat like bomb pops or things like that? Like.
Yeah, there's like a problem because I can't eat chocolate and I don't really like popsicles or candy or stuff like that.
Well, you're making things
so
difficult.
People just ask me, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
Oh, nothing's wrong with you. You just have your preferences. 224, keep checking, please. Those diamond problems. Make sure that we're getting more comfortable with those. And guys, if you are not done with this yet, it's okay because you need to give it to me tomorrow. But please make sure things make sense. Yeah, I said do today, but really tomorrow, right? So please don't just copy this down. Give yourself time to engage with the problems. In 84, a lot of us keep double checking with me. Mean is average. Right? Mean is average.
But do we all know how to find the mean?
Add them up. Divide by how many we have. Those of you with pencils frantically moving, please stop copying. Just give yourself time later to do it. You can look at the answers right now and think about it and like come back to it later, but please don't just copy it down. So those pencils frantically moving, I don't want to call you out. Histograms, we're going to need to be able to make, so please make sure histograms make sense to us. A histogram shows the frequency of ranges. The ranges all must be the same size. So they tell us here that our bands, or I forget how they phrase it, but that they should be 15 wide. So 30 is a nice, easy starting point. 30 to 45, then 45 to 60. So this helps us see where the highest concentration of results are, which of course is between 75 and 90. Any questions on 224? All right, turn that in if you're ready to turn that in, and we will dive into class in like 1 minute probably.
Wait, Stan, you have a Slack.
I what?
You have a Slack. How often do you use it?
When the weather's nice and Randy comes over. I normally don't play on it by myself.
And then,
My friend that likes to Slack line with me.
so then you just like kind of like walk on it, right?
Yeah, it's a good core workout to practice your balance. What's up?
So then he just walks across the table.
No, it's hey, with 55, if you solved it as if the problem was actually 15, leave it. Don't redo that work. That's my bad. You don't need to redo problems that were goofed up because of typos. But if you don't understand the math, please come talk about the math with me at AOR Extensions. Hey, Nikki and Toby, you guys can keep back there, but I need you to separate from each other because neither of you are ready to learn right now. You don't have graph paper out. That graph paper that you don't have out isn't headed. You're not ready to learn. So we are multiplying mixed numbers today. And we likely won't get all the way through the lesson since we're already 20 minutes into class, but that's okay. My plan, to make you privy to the plan, is that this is the end of the 2-2 section. The dance section. So instead of moving on to 2-3-1 this week, I figured we'd wait until the 2-3 section until next week. So however far we get in 2-2-6 today is great. but then we'll finish it tomorrow, and you'll have the rest of the time as work time, catch-up time, whatever, because we're getting towards the end of the quarter, and y'all need to get mastered. So, what? He was waiting. It was polite. All right, so as we talked about yesterday, multiplication of fractions is easier than the addition of fractions because we don't need common denominators. We no longer care about that. We just go straight across the problem. So if Stephanie wanted to multiply 3/5 times 6/7, and she's going to draw these rectangles, and then she's like, wait, do I really have to draw a rectangle for this problem? No. Lily, you seem pretty adamant. What could we do instead? Just multiply them. So this is where I kind of go rogue of CPM. If we understand the technique we used yesterday with the rectangles, we now don't have to use that. We can if we want to, but instead we could just do the math. So please, on your paper, this is problem 95. We're going to multiply 3/5 by 6/7. What is, now I actually do this, like I draw these arrows, so you could too. It would help you to know, like, oh yeah, we just go straight through.
What's the
18/35. Thank you very much, Rhea. That's 95. Sorry, it was very quickly, sloppily written. Now, if we wanted to draw a rectangle, my advice would be make it have the dimensions of what? If we were going to draw a rectangle for this, Mirabelle, do you know? Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, how'd you figure that out? Absolutely. If we wanted to make this into the rectangle split type problem, make it a 5/7 so that your fifths can go one way and your sevenths can go the other way, and then whatever's double shaded, you'll end up with 18 squares double shaded out of a total 35 squares. Any questions on that? All right, so especially if you are sketching or whatever, you got to come back right now because we got a bunch of these to solve. Solve these 6 multiplication problems. Oh, it changed when I put it over here, but I want it stacked. Here, hold up. I'm going to copy it from over here and then let you go. Yeah, you can totally start them. This is problem 96. I will put it back over here for you guys. Crap, I can't get the zoom right. I want the numbers bigger than that, but that's the best I can get, apparently. And then you can have them on the other screen, too. Yeah, MS Paint. No, I don't know how to blender. I know I am a noob.
Are you sure about that?
Don't pick on me. We have 6 multiplication problems to solve. Now, if you want to make rectangles, you can, but it's not the most efficient way to do this. Now, we can use calculators unless we're told that we can't, but I would not try to multiply the fractions in the calculator. I would just do 7 times 5 and then 8 times 6 and do those separately, right? I would not try to type in the fraction 7/8 times 5/6, and the fraction will almost always spit your answer out as a decimal. We don't want a decimal answer. We want a fraction answer because it's easier to work with. I wish I could write on that TV. That'd be sweet. Yeah. If I could write on the TV, that'd be super cool. Like the one down on the floor.
So you technically have 2 regular monitors. You have a Chromebook. You have one
I do not have a Chromebook. That's a laptop.
whatever. And you have these like 2 TV setups.
Yeah. He's just cloning what's over there.
And I thought my guy, my dad's friend who had 5 monitors was cool.
I do. Okay, he has more than me. I have a dual screen setup and then a laptop. That's it. It's nothing crazy.
My dad's friend has 5 monitors because he works with like internet and safety.
I only have 2.
Job and stuff like that.
Yeah. Don't. I'm not that cool, Eric. Don't worry. So 7 times 5 is 35. But what's 8 times 6? We haven't done this in a while. 48. Can we get some verification? Is that right?
Yeah.
There we go. So 35, 48. Always ask yourself, can we reduce?
No.
No. And B, you know what? I should random card this. What? I like how you all get sad, but you just really want your card to come up. Or maybe you don't.
Wait, is it 5, 6 equals 7, 8?
No, 7, 8 equals 5. So 7 times 8. Or 56 equals 7 times 8. Sure.
Okay.
5, 6, 7, 8.
I could have fun not wanting to be picked. Every time I've been like, please don't pick me, I always get picked no matter what. So say you do want to be picked.
You are not in the next 5 cards.
Think that you want to be picked, and you won't.
Lydia, what is B? Yeah, 13 times 5 is kind of weird, but this is 8 over 65. Absolutely. Nick, what is C?
Oh, this is 36 over 49.
Yeah, 36 over 49. Now, this also, actually, if you want to write this down as fun fact, is the same as 6/7 squared. Because when you square a value, you multiply by itself. And that multiplied by itself. Morgan, what is D? This is what Nick was just asking me about. So Morgan, I love that you just said that. Sorry, that's a multiplication. 5, 6, 7, 8. Who do we appreciate? 56 equals 7 times 8. So when you see 7 times 8, loop yourself back to, oh yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7 times 8 is 56. So this is 12 over 56, which since they're both even, we know we can reduce. Right? So this I could first reduce down to 6. It's awkward. Cut the 50 in half, then cut the 6 in half. 28, yeah, because 50 turns into 25, 6 turns into 3. Right? So 25 and 3, 28. Eric, what about E?
E would be first, it would be 6 over 22.
Can we reduce?
I believe you can to 3 over 11.
Yeah, even and even, right?
Yes.
And I love this number because one of my favorite bands is 311. Literally, their name is just a number. Their band name is 311.
I think I've heard of them.
They started in 1990, so you weren't even a glimmer yet. You weren't anywhere close to existing. And F class.
72 over 42.
Ooh, that sounded like rehearsed. 72. And they're both even. So we know we can cut them in half. 72 cut in half. 36. 42 cut in half. 21. How can we still reduce these? What are those numbers both divisible by? 3. So we should recognize both divisible by 3. I'm actually going to write that here then. Ooh, 7 on the bottom. Nick said that one's easy. And then on the top, 12. And that's as far as we can go because 7 is prime.
But then should we make it like a normal fraction?
We don't have to. Mixed numbers and improper fractions, yeah. So if we wanted to make it improper, if we wanted to make it mixed, yeah, 1 and 5/7. Questions? Preguntas? Well, I'm not the old teacher. Well, there are no points here, so. I like every new 7th grade class when we get to keep telling you, yeah, that's not how things work here. Like, because normally you're like, oh, this is better.
Teachers trick us too. Mr. Cavilla will be like, I'll give you extra points if you do this. And then everybody's like, wait.
Does anyone know the show Whose Line Is It Anyways? Yeah, so it's like a sketch comedy show. Well, not sketch. It's like a stage comedy show. They're given skits to do or things to do. And the points are all arbitrary, meaning they don't matter. So at the end of each round, he'll be like, and 1,072 points to, like, he just makes up numbers. And that's what I feel like we should do at Phoenix. Like, yeah, just, 1,000 points to Zach because his smile is awesome. And Eric gets -5 points because he's drawing. But, like, just throw out arbitrary points.
Mr. Estes said you would give out like 20 million points.
Yeah, but what are the points for? Eric, you are the next card. All right, everyone please sketch a rectangle on our paper. And this is part of your homework, so it would behoove you, that means benefit, to pay attention to what's happening. Oh yeah, it's on your blue sheet. Look at that. Hey, speaking of brainwashing and making your life easier, you're welcome. When I put that on your blue sheet.
Oh, the other thing was also on the blue sheet. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my bad. It's better for you to write them out because then you actually get the tactile. Yeah. If you want to write out reminders for those, really the reason I put some on your blue sheet is not only to help you out, but it relates to your homework. So notice that your homework problems do like a lot of improper multiplications and stuff like that. This rectangle is showing us 3.5 times 1.5. But in the very common core fashion, which I'm trying to make that word not dirty because people somehow think that's a bad word.
What?
In the very common core fashion, your parents, not everybody, but a lot of people are in the common core. So they don't understand it. Anyone judging the common core doesn't understand it. But a huge thing that we started doing a lot in math is break numbers apart. You don't have to work with the whole thing. So take 3.5, work with the 3, then work with the half. Take 1.5, work with the 1, then work with the half. But the problem is if we break both numbers, now we have 4 steps to do. Now, that's not really a problem because it's easier. What is 3 times 1? 3. That's not hard, right? What is a half times 1? Man, this is really tough. What is 3 times a half? 1.5, or we could write 3 halves if we want. Ooh, now the toughest part, what's half of a half? 4. And now your answer is just all of this. So, we're smart people. What's 3 halves and another half? 4 halves or 2. Right, so we have 5 and a 4. That easy. Now, the alternative way, please stick with me, is improper fractions. Right, so if we wrote, come on, give me more page, 3.5 times 1.5. The alternative method is improper this, right? So 3.5, 3 times 2, 6 plus 1, 7. And you could write this down if you want the extra, like, awesome practice. 1 times 2 plus 1, 3. What's 7 times 3? 21. What's 2 times 2? 4. How many 4s are in 20? 5. And 1. Oh, wait, yeah, of course we got the same answer. We did the same problem. That makes sense. You don't have it. Just will yourself out of it. Do the Mr. Estes thing. When Mr. Estes gets sick, we're like, are you going to have to take a day off? Like, maybe you should go home. He's like, no, I'm going to will myself better. We're like, you can't will yourself better. This is like science. He's like, no, I'm going to will myself better. So just will yourself to not have a headache. Just tell yourself, I don't have a headache. Don't have a headache. Drink some more water. No joke, you're probably dehydrated. Any questions on how we can improper multiply? Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I got a very different answer from.
What do you mean you tried? How did you try? Like, what did you do?
I
Oh, you missed 2 steps. Yes. So I will show you. Thank you for asking that. That's a fantastic question. So 3, what did we have? 3.5, 1.5? Yeah. If we do, and you don't need to write this down unless you really want to, but I would love for you to watch because we've got a really good question here. Bella said, I did it, but it didn't like come out to have the right answer. If we break this apart to multiply and we do it like this, we have to take the 3 to the 1 and to the half and do both of those. And then we also have to take the half to the 1 and the half to the half. The reason that we use the rectangle, these 4 arrows are these 4 boxes. So this is actually the distributive property, but you don't need to care. Like, we're distributing the parts of the mixed number. That's what's happening here. Now we will use area models, and this is technically called an area model if we make it look appropriate. We will use these a lot. I was literally just doing this yesterday with my 8th graders that are taking high school math 2. They're like sophomore level math. We're doing area models. So please don't look at this as like, oh, hooey, it's just a 7th grade thing. These are really, really useful. Really, really useful. Especially when we get into probability and we discuss what's the chance of something happening. Area models are huge. Yeah. I know, but look at October. I flipped it, but the tape fell off. October's a weird, brown trout.
That's a catfish.
The bear is cuter.
Well, then you just cut the bear off, and then you.
You're right. Maybe I should just cut the pictures out. But okay, there's October. There's what? You
I'd like
can eat
the
them.
bear.
Probably eat fish. You don't eat fish. You don't eat fish, right, Evan? Do you eat shrimp?
Salmon is delicious.
No fish.
I love seafood
I'm
so much.
pescatarian. I don't eat.
So is my wife. My wife's a
I don't
pescatarian.
eat any other meat except for.
We have divulged away from the math.
I don't eat.
How did we end up talking about seafood? I went to Maine and I had seafood.
I like seafood.
I said that salmon was chicken, and I ate it, and I was like, this is not chicken, and I got really mad.
We used to have a math teacher named Mr. D, and I heard your story, by the way. We did that to a friend of mine. We told him that tofu was chicken, and we tricked him and he ate tofu. We used to have a teacher named Mr. D that we could get off topic super easy, and we'd end up spending half the class talking about random crap, and we'd all leave class laughing about how easy it was to get Mr. D off topic.
You're a bully.
No,
did that to him.
yeah, where I'm going with that statement, Nick, is I am now Mr. D. Essentially, it's like, oh yeah, fish, tuna, pescatarian. Okay, but where I won't be the same as Mr. D is we can't spend half the class off topic. We can spend a little bit of time off topic, but we got math to do. So, no, we're moving on now. We have to get back on topic. No. All right, multiply this. If we have a flower bed, or a garden, really, it'd probably be a garden for me, that's 1.5 feet wide by 5 1/3 feet. What is its area? Of course, we have to multiply the dimensions. Yeah.
Why is the sky blue?
Nope.
Oh my gosh.
Nope. Because that's also why my formatting issues turn into issues. Why are some people just sitting? We have a multiplication to do. First thing I would write down is the mixed number. You may use the rectangle method. You may use improper fractions if you want. But since it's a flower bed, we could draw it, right? Since it's a rectangle. You don't have to. It said we could. Wow, howdy attitudes. So 1.5 by 5 1/3. I'm gonna draw it because might as well. We have a lot of drawers in here. I don't know why people are resisting drawing. Every time you're not doing math, you're doodling. So why do we call this an area model? The reason why that sentence was, forget that I said that. All right. If we design this correctly, the 5 should relatively look like 5, and the 1/3 should relatively look like a third. So if I split this way over here, this is more of an area model than what we had just done, where it was like pretty close in size. You're right, but it tells me that it should be a really small portion. Right? So this is itty bitty compared to these. These should be bigger than that. So 5 times 1, okay, yeah. 1 times a third, okay, yeah. Half, oh crap. Half of 5, I'm just going to do 5 halves, right? We'll deal with that later. Because I'm going to probably have to make another fraction. A third of a half. 1/6. And then we might as well common denominator.
Don't you hate when you promise something?
2/6. How many 6 here? 15. So 17/6, 18/6.
1/3 and
So
1/6 equal half.
this, wait, 2, 6, 15. This is 3. And then that with the, okay, so we, wait, not 18, just 8.
This is mega small brain.
My brain really wants me to write a 1. I don't know why.
You want write a 1. Write a 1. Wait, what?
Any,
What?
did anybody ever find game pieces in this classroom? Please let me know.
Oh no.
This would have been really bad. I gotta put this away. Any questions on how we area model? It is from Catan or Catan. Not Canton.
Me and Dad always say Catan.
Yeah, let's do Katana. How do you pronounce
No,
it?
sad day.
How
They
do
mix
you-
all pieces.
How do you
I'll
pronounce
make
it?
Charlie.
It's a dark day for America.
It's a sad day. I had the bags labeled.
How do you pronounce it?
I don't know. Like different people pronounce it
It's
differently.
Katana.
Settlers of Catan is normally what we say, or Catan, but that's not necessarily appropriate. All right, hold up. You got one to do on your own. Let's have a race.
Okay. Yeah, man.
I bet you can't beat me in solving these 3 problems.
Of course, you don't know the answer.
I'll give you a head start. No, I don't know the answers.
Lies.
I haven't done these. I'll give you a head start for as long as it takes me to put it in smart.
Oh my gosh, I hope it takes you forever. No offense. You poopy did. Hey, you can't do that.
And your head starts over.
I panic under pressure. You make us done.
Wait, you panic under pressure?
Yes, I don't do well under pressure.
If you want to fight me, I'm done.
Yes, that is well. Big. Do we have to make simplify?
Oh no, this is pressure music.
Do we have to simplify?
Nice.
Yes. You must simplify and or reduce.
Improper fractions. Stop it!
Stop. I'm already.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. I just want to watch.
I beat you.
We're done.
We're done. I've been done for like 5 minutes.
We beat you. Give me runs.
I don't know what Spotify's going to play next. I don't know what this is.
This is the Incredibles thing, my guy.
It is the Incredibles. Alright, maybe we'll put that back on at the end if we have any more homework time. Are there any, like seriously, please speak up right now. Do we have any confusion on anything that we're doing right now? Yeah.
I beat you.
Thank you. I heard you many times. I'm proud that you beat me. Though I'm getting old. I should be slower than you. I was feeling old last night at the volleyball game. I was like, I've been standing for hours and hours, and I was like leaning against the wall. I'm like, if I sit down, I'm gonna fall asleep. Cannot sit down. Cannot sit down. I what? No, I went to take pictures last night. I would play volleyball, but I'd probably play sand volleyball over like court volleyball. Any questions? Yeah, Eric.
I just want to say, because like there was this time that me and my dad were like, I was like building a Lego set. He sat down on the floor to watch me, also mainly to keep telling me off of my Legos while I was trying to build. And then I'm like, okay, Dad, I'm gonna go put this downstairs. And Dad's just like, I'm like, Dad, what's wrong? It's like, you made me sit down on the floor. Now I can't get up.
So
And then he just laid there for another 5 minutes.
My mom tried to do a somersault and she blew out her back.
My dad will do this thing where he tattoos, so he gets
Yeah.
really
Ooh,
tired
I might
after.
need that. Will you give me a deal since I'm your teacher?
Yeah, but he takes
I need another one.
he'll be like this, trying to sit down, but also standing up like this on the couch. I'm like, what are you doing? And
So-
he's like trying to get my energy back.
Don't point this out. But now, like when I tell you, you'll start to hear it. Dads tend to make, and I didn't notice this until I was watching this TV show. They make dad noises. So when they go to move, they're like, ah. It's like every movement. It reminds me of like tennis, like professional tennis players, and they're like, all right, one more problem. Hold on, we gotta bring it back.
I did that during my barbecue.
We gotta bring it back.
I swear
Now,
the judge heard that.
we are gonna pick this up tomorrow, but for the next 3 to 4 minutes, hold on, that doesn't mean put things away. We got class time still.
Yeah.
Why is there this phrase that says you can't? That did not work. Why is there this phrase that says you can't mix apples and oranges? Somebody raise a hand. Like who? Literally. I think there is actually apple orange juice.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. Squeezing an apple is probably harder than squeezing a lip. So they're different, right? They're not. Bring it back now, y'all. They're different, right? So in math, we really see that situation like you wouldn't add apples and oranges, and we see that with variables. But beyond just when we see that with variables, we also see that with units. So we want to try to figure out how could we add these 4 different problems, being that they give us different units to start. So I want you and your partners, until we're out of class time, on your graph paper, because I don't think I put this on the blue sheet, on your graph paper, please write down what we start with, and then decide, should we make feet into inches, or inches into feet, or days into hours, or hours into days, or like, what are we going to change here so that we can add these things? This will be our first problem tomorrow, right? So we'll pick this up tomorrow, but we've got like 2 or 3 minutes left, so go ahead and try to tackle some of these. We're going to pick it up tomorrow. It's all good if you don't finish. It's all good if you don't finish. We're going to pick it up tomorrow. And I did just realize we need to. Hey, who wants to have permission to annoy me?
Permission. I do.
So all of you can have this permission. I take a pill for my heart. No big deal. But when you come into class and you're writing down your planner and everything, feel free to ask me, like, hey, did you take your heart pill yet? Because I need to do it, right? And sometimes I forget. And as soon as you guys show up, I'm like, teacher mode, and I forget. So you have my permission. You have my permission to annoy me. I do, but I turn it off sometimes. And if I'm not here, say I'm in the office, I turn off the alarm. Because I should hit snooze. I know. So I promise I do have an alarm. It's set for 9 a.m. I just didn't have it on today. Look, I'll show you.
Whoa,
Look, ooh, 8 a.m. Not 9 a.m. 8. Maybe I should make it 9. It says heart. See, it says heart.
Wait,
All right. You have 1 minute left. I know. We're starting on this tomorrow. Yeah.
First time in school, I made a joke with my dad because you were super good at math and also you're who likes to listen to weird out and you play board games and you're basically the exact same as my dad. So I made this joke where dad literally just entered an incognito mode and came in to teach me to school. I'm like
incognito.
I'm just like, but Dad, you couldn't be Mr. Osmond. He's like, why not? It's like because of your Mr. Osmond has hair, Dad. Because my cat Tommy has taken now a passion to getting good eaten. He licks the hairless spot on my father's head.
That's not weird at all. And by that I mean that's really weird.
Yeah. My dad is I am not joking.
My dad too. And now I've been getting
like.
All right, pack it up.